Hello, welcome to this video. This is an illustration that I recently painted for an author, for a client of mine, and I just thought it would be fun to show you the full process of me painting an illustration right now. That I consider to be sort of my style, or in the style that I'm heading towards. So what I start with is I wet the background, and I have seen a lot of artists painting the background last, but I don't do that. I just tend to mess up my paintings if I leave the background last, so I'm just going to start with that right now. So I think you can see my trick pretty well here, and that is that I don't actually paint until I paint the background layer. I don't paint it until I reach the outline of my drawing, but I leave a little bit of a space there for that I want it to look kind of like it's glowing. So my painting is not going to always reach the outline of, for example, here the boy and the tractor behind him. And I think it's just a very easy way of creating a sort of like a transitional glowy effect. And also it's helping out not to bleed into the outline, like the inner part of the outline. So you're not going to accidentally paint into your figures. And right now, using Escoda Perla size 10 brush, like I always do, I'm just going to paint the background. Some people would say that my brush is too small, but I think it's pretty useful when I want to create transition, so that it's not the same shade all over, but it has different shades. So when I reach towards the corner of this painting, then it's going to be more saturated and darker. And when I reach the boy's figure, it's going to be a sort of diluted shade of this caramelish, brownish, goldenish color. And it's Quinacridone Gold by Daniel Smith. It's a very versatile, very beautiful color, and I'm just using it here as a background shade. And I'm not going to use anything else because I just love this color so much. And I be sure to paint right here underneath the boy's leg and below his right hand. These are areas that are not obviously part of the main background, but is still behind the boy. So it's going to be kind of a darker shade. When I'm happy with the overall background layer, I'm just going to add some more color to make it more saturated and vibrant and make it more seamlessly blending into a transition of a glowing kind of figure for the boy. Now you can see me adding some more saturated quinacridone gold here, and it's going to get a bit darker, a bit more nuanced, a bit more saturated, so that it looks like the darkest and the lightest values are going to be stronger. And just adding a few more colors, a few more swipes of quinacridone gold here and there when I feel like it's needed. And then we are going to move on and wet the floor area, the other side of the background, the lower part, and that's going to be a nice wooden floor with lots of details, and it's going to be kind of like a reddish brown color. It's going to turn out pretty nice. But right now I'm just wetting it using crystal clear water and this white brush that I purchased in a grocery store, and it was super inexpensive, and I bought this. I didn't spend much money on this because I knew I was only going to use it for wetting background. And right there on the bottom side, where I'm painting now, you don't actually see, but there is the boy's other sock lying there, and that's why I'm carefully painting around it, because I'm not going to paint obviously the wooden floor there. So I'm just very carefully painting around the figures right now. And as you will soon see, I'm going to use Burnt Umber by Schmincke for this wooden background, and my main point there to color is to get the most saturated color, the darkest color, where the ground meets the wall. So just right there, right in the middle area, the middle line. And as I reach down to the bottom of the page, it's going to become a lot lighter. Sorry, it's my baby in the background. She's running around and playing while I'm recording this audio. So right now I'm just making sure to get color and to determine where I want the background and where I don't want it, obviously where the figures start. And right now you can see me adding a lot more saturated color. Is because at the same time I also realized that I don't actually have that much time to play around, because my paper is drying. Like watercolor dries pretty quickly. Not sometimes not fast enough, but sometimes it's just too quick, and I have a lot of areas to paint, and I'm using this small brush, relatively small brush, Escoda Perla size 10 because of the fine details of the figures. Like I only want to use the tip of my brush to paint, like you see me doing right now, the delicate details of this illustration, like where the two lines meet. And then when I reach down, like right now, I can use the side of the brush, which is kind of like a fuller body brush, yeah, or strokes. And as I reach towards the sock that is left lying on the ground, I'm going to dilute my paint and use a lot less saturation there. It's because, and the reason for that is because I want to be the focus on the boy and on the tractor behind him. Now onto the left side of my painting, I'm going in quickly with more confidence now because I know what I want to create, and I just have to replicate what I already did on the right side of the bottom portion of this illustration is regarding the shades. So right now I'm carefully painting around the other sock that the boy is putting on right now, and just trying to mimic the same transition that is on the right hand side. And now there is a little bit of a corner left on the left hand side that is unpainted, and I'm carefully painting around where the ground meets the wall and where the sock starts, and it's a pretty saturated color, so I'm going to use quite a bit of saturation, and I'm also lining the line between the wall and the ground so that it's more clear where it all ends and stops. After I'm happy with the background, my next layer is going to be the skin tone. As always, using yellow ochre and quinacridone coral. Yellow ochre is by Winsor & Newton, and quinacridone coral is by Daniel Smith. And I'm going to mix it on the palette, as you can see me doing it, and then using Escoda Perla size 4. First I'm going to add a very diluted, very light layer of color, and also meanwhile I'm trying to get my highlights as well. So basically I'm going to determine where the light is going to hit the boy's face and make that the lightest part, and obviously where the shadow is I'm going to cast the darkest shades, the darkest area there. Adding a bit more quinacridone coral now to make the cheeks more red, and also it's going to act as a shadow as well. So it's just going to place the darker areas. Like I think right now this is my mid-tones. In the end it's going to be a very saturated, very colored picture. So right now you can't really see it. Kind of looks like it's all meshed together, but it's going to look very nice. Like right now you can see me adding a lot more color. Sorry, you can hear my baby in the background playing around. So you will see in a second how I'm adding more and more definition to the right side of the figure, and the left side, or the nose, the lips, and the chin is going to be highlighted. The ear and the right side is going to be in the shadow. And of course it only looks natural if the side of the nose is in the shadowed area as well. That adds a bit of a more realistic touch to my illustration. However, I wouldn't call my style realistic. I would still say it is around semi-realistic, yeah. I would say that of my style, because it kind of looks like a real person, but it's not. I don't know how to explain it better. So it has some elements that are very much cartoonish or fairy tale like. Doesn't seem like that in real life. So yeah, as I said, the tip of the nose should be highlighted, although I did add some shadow to the side of the nose, and now I'm lifting up color to make a point of highlighting the tip of the nose because of the angle of the light is coming through. So I hope it makes sense to you. And I'm just gonna keep on adding more and more color to the side of the face so that it's more obvious that the front of the face, the front of the boy's face is highlighted. Now I'm actually lifting up some color as well, even though the neck area is always darker. I didn't like the way it looked, so I lifted up some color. And now adding more mixture of yellow ochre and quinacridone coral. I found these two shades to be working for me when it comes to face color. However, I've seen a lot of people who are braver than I am, and they use kind of like bright oranges, yellows, reds as a face color, and I might shift to that because I really like those kind of vibrant style. But for now I'm sticking to what I know and love, which is yellow ochre and quinacridone coral. I actually don't very much like yellow ochre by Winsor & Newton, and the reason for that is because I found it to be not saturated enough. So even though when I pick up a lot of color and not so much paint, it's still a very soft kind of pastel color, and I don't like that. I really like vibrant and really saturated highlights, bright colors. And now I'm going to add quinacridone coral to make the face of the boy a little bit more pinkish. And I'm dragging the color around to blend it in with the face nicely. I don't very much like wet on dry effect, wet on dry technique on the face, even though I do follow a lot of people who I admire and they do this style. I don't like it for myself. I don't know how to explain it better. I like wet on wet because it creates a smooth, flawless skin and highlights. Moving back onto the background detail, I found a little mistake that I made, which is that the leg should be a little bit slimmer than it is. It kind of looks all too straight for me. So I'm going to fix it by adding a little bit of a paint right there, where you can see me doing it now, and try to melt it into the already existing background. And that's not going to work, but it doesn't matter that much because we are going to go in with a lot of details for the background, so it's not going to be that visible that I fixed a little mistake there. And then I'm going to wet the boy's shirt, which is going to be kind of like a pastel brown color, a light brown color. And first of all, using Escoda Perla size 10 brush, I'm going to wet the entire surface of the boy's shirt, and making sure that I don't run out with the water, run out of the lines. So just something to keep in mind. And then I'm going to loosely paint the darkest area, and I'm using Escoda Perla size 4 here because I found it to be better for detailing. And Raw Umber by Winsor & Newton. Also mixing in some quinacridone gold by Daniel Smith to create a kind of a glowy shirt effect. But also it's just muted because it's the same color as the background, that quinacridone gold. So it's not going to be a bright and highlighted shirt. And the reason for that is because this is a little boy, this is a child. He doesn't really care about clothes. He cares about, playing outside in the farm and getting dirty as quickly as he can. So we are not going to paint a pretty shirt here. Now I'm adding more saturated raw umber. And my paper is quite wet, as you can see, and I really love this kind of loose effect when the water and the paint starts running widely and I can barely contain it. This is actually my favorite part of watercolor, and it gets me super excited when I get to play with that runny watery effect. And later on, like this illustration I did about a month ago, and you will see that my style now is braver and braver each day as I'm playing around with this like very loose effect, very loose technique that I'm trying to work towards. So for the shirt, we are going to try to do the same as for the face, to continue that the front is the most highlighted area and the back is the darkest area. However, this is a shirt, so it's pretty much the same color all over. But right now, I'm just creating a definition showing where I want the highlights and the shadows. But later on, I'm going to fill the entire shirt with color. Because it's not like the face, it's not that kind of it doesn't reflect so much of the light back. And now moving on to the sock. This is a Phthalo Blue by Winsor & Newton. And I start by the tip of both of the socks. And then I stop right there because I want it to dry before I go in with the actual sock color, so that little stripe at the end of the sock can be seen. Because if I go in and color the rest of the area now, it's just going to melt together and it won't be a clear line there. And it's just a small detail that I like to add sometimes. And after I'm done with this part, the end of the sock, I'm going to move on to the legs. First of all, cleaning my brush and then mixing my yellow ochre and my quinacridone coral. And first I need to go in really lightly just to color the legs so that it's not white. That would be my suggestion for anyone who has a mind like mine, is just to color as much of the painting as possible, and then after that you can go in with playing with the shade and the light. Because right now, if I look at my illustration, all I can see is the white beads and what else need to be covered, and like what should the trousers be, what color will be the track, how is it going to look like in the end if I add all of the colors. However, if you have a plan in hand before you start your painting, you can already start playing around with light and shadow like I did in the background. So as I said it before, using a light tone of skin tone, I'm going to cover the leg of the boy. And this is the same size 4 brush that we worked before. I never know if I should just keep mentioning these brushes and their names or not, because maybe this is the first video that you watch from me, maybe this is the 10th and you have listened to me saying the Escoda size 10, Escoda size 4, just no name brush over and over again. But yeah, I guess for now, until I'm this new to teaching and watercolor, I'm just going to mention it again and again. So now you can see me slowly mapping out the shades, adding more and more color to the right side of the painting. And later on I'm still going to come back and add more definition, but for now I think I'm going to stop right here and move on to the, what you call it, the feet, the foot of the boy, and using the same shades, coloring it as well for the first time, and then adding a bit of a shade just so that I can see where I want it to be the darkest and the lightest. Moving on to the other leg now, starting with the little bit that is left white there, right there that you can see. That's the barefoot that is kept bare when the boy is putting on his sock, and just coloring it lightly. However, this is going to be in the shadow because there are so many little things around it, like the sock, the hand of the boy, the other hand, that is going to cast a shadow to that part of the foot. And then what you can see me doing now is painting the right arm of the boy, or at least what is visible of it, because his knee is right there in the way. And now I'm painting the left arm of the boy, and I'm still using a very diluted mixture of yellow ochre and quinacridone coral, as usual. And right now I can say that my sketch is so helpful. A lot of people don't like sketching, and I think this is the most important part of painting. Like, the actual painting is your reward for sketching out for hours and hours. The sketch should be your number one priority when it comes to watercolors, because that is so helpful to have everything there in place, and you don't have to worry about it because you know that the figure is ready, the little details are there. All you have to do is just paint the highlights and the shadows, just play around with it. I think this is wonderful, so wonderful. Like 6 or 7 years ago, if someone told me that, I would be just very hard-headed, I don't know how to say that, and I wouldn't agree with them. I used to not to pre-draw my paintings. I thought that real artists should know how to paint without drawing, and that is what I learned in school and from most artists, that you shouldn't be pre-draw your paintings. And of course I messed it up all the time, and I didn't understand why people keep telling me that I should pre-draw my paintings. When, I started painting a butterfly and half of it wouldn't be on the painting. So yeah, if you only take one thing from me throughout these videos, is just keep drawing. My drawing tutorials as of today are completely free of charge, so you can find them on YouTube, you can find them here because I keep sharing them with you. And yeah, if you let me know what you would like to learn to draw, just write it in the comments and I will try and upload it as soon as possible. But for now, let's get back to this video. So as you could probably see, I added a little bit, not too much, just a little bit of definition to the bottom of the arm. So the upper part is highlighted. And right now I'm going to continue the right arm of the boy, which is holding the sock from the other side, and just doing the same thing, the same exact thing that we did with the left arm, painting it lightly and softly. Using more saturated version of the same mixture, I'm going to add a little bit of definition to wherever I think the shadows are. I painted this completely from my head, so I didn't have a painting, a photo or anything in front of me, and I didn't paint it before. So what you can see is all coming from my head, and yeah, wherever I thought it would be appropriate, I added some shadows. I went back to the left arm as well. And finally to the leg, to the left leg, yes. I don't know why I didn't paint, oh, I know why I didn't paint the right leg. I needed to wait before the two arms dried. So right now that's kept completely white because I'm waiting for the arms to dry. Now we are moving on to the sock. Using phthalo blue, I'm going to cover the entire sock wet on dry. That comes handy when you want the wet on dry technique, when you want the same color all over the surface. But you need to move in quite quickly, not as slowly as I am doing right here, because your paint already started to dry as soon as you put it on the paper. So if I were just a little bit slower, there would be a visible line right there. So now I'm going in wet on wet with more saturated color. Painting the other sock as well with the same phthalo blue by Winsor & Newton. And going in with wet on dry as well, just like before. And carefully painting around the shape. And then I'm adding definition with more saturation. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just adding more paint, more color to the bottom area where it's the most most shadowed. Sorry. So this is the end of part 1. I thank you for painting with me, and I hope you will join me in continuing this illustration for part 2 as well. Bye bye.